In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Wancher Olympus Titan fountain pen with a brand new nib from Wancher. I'll go over the specs, I will do a writing sample, and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about this pen coming up. Now, Wancher has sent me this pen for review. They said I could keep this pen. However, I'm going to be giving it away, so please stay tuned towards the ends of the video for details on the giveaway. So, this is the Wancher Olympus Titan fountain pen, and this is my third Wancher pen. This was kindly sent to me by Wancher for review. Now, the brand is pretty interesting. I put them in the value category in my 2025 fountain pen brand tier list, and I really think that they are kind of the best in that category. Now, if I were to sum up, what I think Wancher's value add here is they are bringing us some very interesting artisan techniques that we don't see on other pen brands. These are techniques coming primarily from Japan, China, and I believe Vietnam. And they're doing them on reasonably priced pens. Now, they do get expensive, but for what you're getting, I think they're pretty much always a good value. They also offer a huge variety of nibs for their pens, which I really appreciate. On this pen, you have your standard Yovo nibs, which you can do customizations to. They have three different feed options: the standard plastic, black ebonite, red ebonite. There's a new nib, which I'm going to show you in a minute on here. They also have their Shogun nibs, which are made by Sailor. And again, you can have customizations on those, I believe, as well. They're giving you a lot. This is really for people that appreciate craftsmanship and the writing experience. So I really have to give props to Wancher for their offerings. I think they are really special and unique in the world of fountain pens. Now, this pen is called the Titan, the Olympus Titan, and it's a shape that I don't think I've seen from Wancher before. It is made out of what they call pure titanium. I'm guessing it's T2 titanium or something like that. And it's made out of this stabilized maple wood, which is a really pretty material. There is some like shimmer and depth to this material that is really quite nice. The shape of this pen is interesting. Specifically the cap, I think, is interesting. You sort of have these three sides, which don't really terminate in a point, but these sort of rounded edges there. And then it sort of becomes more round as it goes towards the end of the cap here, the bottom of the cap, where it becomes completely round. So I don't know if the light will pick it up, but you can just sort of see those facets kind of getting smaller and smaller until they get to the end there. It's interesting looking. I have to say I don't necessarily love the shape of the cap, but I do like that it is different. The clip, because they say this is only made out of titanium and stabilized wood, I have to assume this is titanium. It very much reminds me of a Lamy 2000 clip. Now, it is not spring-loaded like the Lamy 2000, but if we look at like the profile of it and everything, it's very similar. It's not the same, but it is very similar, and that's sort of my first thought when I saw the clip here. And then the barrel is pretty standard. It tapers towards the tail. There's no finials on this at all. It will stand on the desk. I think it will. I guess I shouldn't have said that. It will not stand on the desk. I bet it will this way, though. Okay, that way it will stand on the desk. In terms of uncapping, about 1 1/4, which is pretty good. Now, we have metal threading here, which feels really nice, and then we have a titanium grip section, which tapers towards the nib before flaring out, so you get a good lockdown there without your fingers coming in contact with the nib. I really like that. It's very comfortable because this is, stabilized wood and titanium. It's very lightweight, very comfortable. It does post, and it posts comfortably, like it balances really nicely in my hand. However, there is like a little bit of, I can kind of move this around on here. Now I did try and fling it off. It's not going anywhere, but I do wish it was like seated in a way where, I can't kind of just move it around like that. But it's really not a big deal. I've been using this pen posted because it is so light and it balances beautifully in my hand. This is absolutely a pen that you can post. Takes a standard international cartridge and converter. I've pushed all the ink to the front of this because I was almost out of ink by the time I did this review here. You can see a little Wancher logo laser engraved on there, which is a nice little detail. Yeah, nice metal threading. I believe this is all titanium, at least that's what they are saying it is. The nib here, so this is their new nib. They just call this their steel two-tone nib, and has the Wancher logo, says Wancher, and then medium plastic feed here. Very nice looking nib. Interestingly, if I turn it over, we can see that the underside of the nib is all gold colored. So I don't know if it's plated gold first and then they put the silver color over the top of it, or rhodium. And you can see it doesn't quite fill out the flower perfectly, but it looks quite good. You really have to look closely to see that it's not, perfectly that way. But I've also seen similar things on like very expensive Montegrappa number 8 nibs. Not a big deal. It looks really nice. I think this is a nicer looking nib than the Yovo options. It is a threaded Yovo number 6 housing, so you can untwist this and put in other nibs. Wancher says that they are giving you this extra nib option because they want to add variety. It's not a replacement for Yovo number 6 or any of their other nibs. It's just a new one to try out. And at the time of the launch of this pen, they're only offering it in medium. However, you can do some of their special customizations, their Kodachi nib, the beak nib, and needlepoint nib. Those do have an added cost to them, but there is no added cost if you buy a Wancher pen to have this standard medium two-tone nib over a Yovo nib. So it's included in that $250 price point. This pen, per my understanding, it is designed in Japan. It's made in China, and then the final assembly is done in Japan. It's a pretty impressive pen. It seals really nicely. I love how lightweight it is, and just the feeling of the stabilized wood, the depth of the stabilized wood. It's quite a nice pen. I don't think this has their like spring-loaded cap seal that their Dream Pen does, and I actually kind of like that. I'm pretty impressed with this pen. Let's do some measurements here. In terms of the length, we are looking at about I would say 137, 138. Uncapped, looking at 121. Posted, it does become long, but it's comfortable posted, about 164, 163. Now let's do the grip section. It's not the widest grip section, but again, that weight, I think really just helps it out. So, all right, and the grip section, so 10.8, that's actually quite not bad. That's relatively wide, and then 9.6. Okay, so good size grip section. Let's do the weight here. So 25.6 grams and 13.55 grams. Very nice. I think because of the premium materials here, this beautiful stabilized wood and the titanium, it has a really high quality feel, but it's also lightweight, which is really, really nice. Okay, let's do some comparisons with some other pens here. Here it is with a Lamy 2000. Here it is with a Wancher Yakumo Nuri pen, which is, I think, essentially the same size and shape as their Dream Pen. A Montegrappa Fortuna, a Mont Blanc 146, and a Nakaya Naka-Eye fountain pen. So it's a full-size pen. I wouldn't say it's oversized, but it's definitely a full-size pen. Okay, let's do the writing sample. So for the writing sample, I'm going to be using the Papermind Tomoe River Twin Ring Notebook. These notebooks are excellent for fountain pens, and you can find them at thepapermind.com. Okay, so this is the Wancher Olympus Titan. And this is their new two-tone medium nib. And this is the Papermind Prometheus orange. Figured this was the perfect ink because of the Titan theme, and Prometheus obviously being a Titan. And I think it actually looks really good with this gray stabilized maplewood and titanium. It's a really nice combination. So, normal writing. It's a very smooth, very pleasant nib. Fast writing. Now this thing is almost completely out of ink, but it's must be a good amount in the feed there. But yeah, it's writing perfectly. No skipping. I've had no issues. This has been a very pleasant nib, like unusually smooth for a medium nib. And I would say this actually, if you're comparing it to like Yovo nibs, and actually let me grab a Yovo nib. Here I have a Montegrappa Fortuna with a number 6 Yovo nib. This is a fine. And I think this nib writes maybe a little bit finer than a standard Western medium. So let's just compare it really quick. So this is a Yovo fine. Well, no, maybe not. It's a proper medium. This is a little bit fatter, but it's quite usable in this medium size for everyday use. Not sure who makes the nib. I believe the pen is made in China, designed in Japan, and then assembled and finished in Japan. The nibs, not sure where they come from, but it's my understanding is that they are not Yovo nibs, so they might be made in China. But very smooth, very, very pleasant. In terms of flexibility, there really isn't any, but you know, there is some softness. So you do get, this is no pressure, and this is pressure. No pressure, pressure. So there's a little bit there, but really it's, I wouldn't say it's a nail, but it's not a particularly soft nib. Reverse writing, very smooth, very nice. And yeah, I'm impressed with this nib. It's funny, the Shogun nib that I got on another launcher pen that they sent me, very scratchy out of the box. This is, yeah, just unusually pleasant for a medium nib. Very happy with this. I would definitely be picking this, I think, over the medium Yovo nib if that's what you were contemplating. I think the two-tone looks better, and it writes, at least this one example that I have here, writes super smoothly. It's a really nice nib. Okay, so for the giveaway, all you're going to have to do to participate is in the description below, there is a Google form, and you just need to enter your name, email address, and you need to be a subscriber of the Blake's Broadcast YouTube channel. At the moment, I am limiting this to the United States. However, if you are further afield and are willing to help me with the shipping cost, because I am doing this out of pocket, you may participate. Just know that I will ask you to help with the shipping. Now, if you want a second entry, basically double your chances to win this pen, head over to thepapermind.com, scroll down to the very bottom of the page, and sign up for our newsletter. We only send out emails about a couple times a month. We don't try to be annoying. This part, the newsletter sign up, is completely optional. It just will give you one extra entry. Now, 72 hours after I post this video, I will be selecting a winner at random. So what are my pros and cons for the Wancher Olympus Titan fountain pen? Well, number one here, I really like the use of materials here. This stabilized cherry wood is really beautiful. The gray and the brown sort of flames on it are really, really nice. And I think it just pairs beautifully with the titanium trim here on the grip section and the clip. It just looks really well done here. Being titanium and stabilized wood, it is very lightweight, very comfortable. It balances well in my hand. It posts quite nicely and securely. It has a Yovo number 6 nib uh, housing, so you can change out the nibs. This new Wancher two-tone steel nib that they just released is surprisingly pleasant, like more so than a typical medium nib. It writes really well. It does really well with reverse writing. The pen seals well. I'm very happy with it. You also get an absolute ton of nib choices on this pen. So if you don't want the two-tone nib, which only comes in medium, however, they do offer 3 different grind types for, I think, between $100 and $110 on this nib. You have Yovo number 6 nibs. You can change the feed on them. They have black ebonite, red ebonite in addition to the plastic. They also have Shogun nibs, which are made by Sailor. So there's just a ton of options here. You're gonna find a nib that will work for you. There's really no question about that. Now, in terms of cons, the way that the cap posts, it can be a little cockeyed. It is very secure on there, but it's not, I like it to be seated kind of, and then it doesn't really, you can't really do this with it. Now, it won't move except for when I'm doing that, but something that kind of bugged me a little bit. The cap on this pen is interesting. I don't think it's beautiful. I'm pretty sensitive to shapes, and this one, it's not bad, but it's not my favorite. I think in terms of looks, I would maybe give this a 6 out of 10. The materials are, 9 or 10 out of 10, but the cap, I would like to see a more normal shape. Um, so I don't love that. The clip really reminds me of the Lamy 2000 clip, and it's very stiff. Other cons, $250 is not cheap. However, I do think that they're giving you a really nice pen for that price. It is partially made in China, designed in Japan, made in China, and then final assembly takes place in Japan. So I'd like that to be more clear in the product page if they're able to do that, just because, the extra transparency there is nice. But that's pretty much it. I'm quite happy with this pen. I, kind of go back and forth. Should I give it away? But typically for my reviews, if somebody sends me something for free, I don't really like to hold on to it. I just don't think I need to do that. Pass it on to you, the viewer. But that's pretty much it. Do you guys have this pen? Do you like this pen? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen paper reading videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much, and until next time.